Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Farzy Show. Marc Farzetta with you here from the Steven Singer Studios. We got some Eagles conversation obviously happening today. Jeff Mosher is on the show from Inside the Birds podcast. We're going to break it all down with Mosher when it comes to Fletcher Cox and this defensive line, when it comes to Jalen Hurts as this team's quarterback, and Nick Sirianni as this team's play caller, as well as Jonathan Gannon as this team's defensive coordinator, but schemeless defensive coordinator. Let's just reiterate that. One of the things we're going to get into is how this defensive line needs to eat. This D-line, other than Javon Hargrave, needs to eat in this particular. Carolina Panthers are coming off a game where they did not sack Dak Prescott one time, yet they allowed Sam Darnold to be sacked 5 times in the game. So this might be an example of a time that you just say for Jonathan Gannon, go and eat, fellas. Go ahead and eat. Get after Sam Darnold. Make him uncomfortable. Get after the passer and make sure he is not throwing off his back foot every single time. Or make sure he's not throwing off his front foot every single time. Have him heave those balls into the air that are very, very catchable for your defensive backs. Force some turnovers. Make that happen. This is a game where Jonathan Gannon has to respond. Jeff Mosher will help us understand all that. The other thing that we need a response from here, I think, is Nick Sirianni. He responded great, I thought. I thought the game plan, I thought the play calling, as I've said many times throughout the week, was a phenomenal step forward from what it was Monday night against the Cowboys. Now, it wasn't that hard because the bar was so low, but now it's about maintaining this. And I understand you're going to change things up against different opponents because you're scheming to them and all that. But there does come a time where you just have to continuously go to the guys that you know are going to make you look good, the guys that continuously make you look good. And that is, yes, Jalen Hurts, when you're using that little mid-range game and you're not throwing the ball deep down the field all the time like you were trying to do against the Cowboys, but rather keeping those short passes, getting him in a rhythm, especially the way they did in that second possession where they scored the touchdown against the Chiefs. But you have to make sure that you're getting him in that rhythm with those shorter throws. Guys running out of the backfield, not guys running downfield. Tight ends running, 5 and outs, 10 and ins, whatever it might be. Keep it close to the line of scrimmage for Jalen Hurts. That way, you're off and running from the start. That's when he is his absolute best. And then, bang, you hit him down the field with a Devontae Smith 50-yard bomb. That's when you try to work that in. Also, one thing I really would love to see, if they get the opportunity to expose the middle of the field against this team, which the Cowboys were able to do against the Panthers, how about a little slant route? How about a little slant route to Devontae Smith? Let's see if Jalen Reagor can catch a ball 10 yards past the line of scrimmage and then turn it upfield and take it to the house. Let's see if that can happen in this game. You're going to get the opportunities to do that. The only thing is, when you look at this Carolina Panthers team, they are well coached, they are well disciplined. They did just lose to a team that is pretty damn good, as much as we would hate to admit it, with the Dallas Cowboys, but that's in fact what they did. And the Cowboys got the Giants, so they're looking at another possible divisional win, most likely a divisional win this week. So the Eagles have to at least try to keep pace in the early goings of this. This could be the game that the Eagles steal. I'll give you my official prediction when we come around to it a little bit later in the show. So one of the things I want to see, other than the defense respond, which is what we need, is now the offense to find some consistency. So short throws for Jalen Hurts, like I was saying, not bombing the ball downfield. And then the name that we're going to be mentioning a lot, probably for the rest of the season, Miles Sanders. Now, I have been a guy to say I want Miles Sanders to be able to get the stats that all those other great running backs in the league get. Because coming into the season, people around the NFL, I know the NFL Network was looking at Miles Sanders, and they're saying, he is one of the worst running backs in the league. And I was like, well, that's dumb. Because talent-wise, I don't think he is one of the worst running backs in the league. Stats-wise, he is, which sucks. I'd like to see him at least get that opportunity to put up the numbers to prove just how talented he was. We got into this conversation last week with John McMullen. I'd love to see him get that opportunity to be able to go out there and make things happen for this offense. Yet we rarely get that opportunity. Let's see that opportunity. And I know a lot of people are going to be looking at Ezekiel Elliott's numbers last week. I believe he had 143 yards against this Panthers team. The Eagles don't have Ezekiel Elliott. All right, so it's like, as much as I look at those numbers, I go, ooh, run the football. You can run it. Yeah, you can run it when you have Ezekiel Elliott. All right, the Eagles don't have that. But here's what maybe they can do. Maybe they can still hand the ball to Miles Sanders maybe 10 times in this game. Maybe instead of getting him 10 touches, maybe you get him 10 carries and see what he does with it. Maybe you get a guy like Kenny Gainwell, 5 carries in this game. Maybe you get him 8 touches in this game, including his receptions, obviously. Maybe that's how you attack this game. But whatever it is, incorporating those two guys will take a lot of pressure off Jalen Hurts. And I look around the league, and I see younger quarterbacks around the league getting, I don't want to say bailed out, but certainly helped by a strong running game, at least letting the defense know that you're thinking about running the football. And also, again, taking the decision-making away from Hurts. This can only help Hurts, so why not do that? The other thing I'm going to be looking at in this particular game, I'm just flat out, I'm giddy about it. It takes me back a little bit to that defensive line. Fletcher Cox, let's face it, lost a lot of one-on-one battles. And I know I talked about the defensive line as a whole. I also talk about, I'm not just talking about the defensive line when I say, hey, they just gave up 5 sacks to the Cowboys. This is what I want to see. I want to see Fletcher Cox win those one-on-one battles just despite what everybody's saying. Now, you can talk about trying to, eat up guys at the line of scrimmage and make sure they're coming at you as opposed to Javon Hargrave and whatever it might be. But for Fletcher Cox for Fletcher Cox's sake, don't let, for instance, I don't know, rookie 6th-round pick like last week against Trey Smith, don't let him own you, win those one-on-one battles, be a little motivated. He said this week in his press conference that he was not the type of guy that looks outside the organization or looks outside himself to be motivated. He's self-motivated. Well, I didn't have a lot of writers on this week. Mosher's our first writer. We had Hollis Thomas, former defensive tackle. We had Gary Cobb, former linebacker, both defensive players, obviously. And they both came on here and talked about how Fletcher Cox is not motivated. Well, if Fletcher Cox isn't getting motivation from outside himself, then he needs to do that from within himself. This would be a good game to start. You look at the schedule. This is the type of game right now you look at with the Eagles where you go, oh, look, you look down the line here. This is a game that you should be able to win. This is a game, quite frankly, that I am expecting the Eagles to win. Yeah. As bad as they've been, I said the words, I'm expecting them to win. It's going to be a tough game. Everyone's counting them out. They're underdogs again. But their backs are against the wall because if they want to keep pace in this division, I'm talking about these players. I know the organization isn't all hell-bent on winning this year because it's a rebuilding year, as much as they don't really want to tell you that. I'm not saying the Eagles they're going to win this game and then everything's going to be great. No, I'm just saying you look down the line, this is a game that they should be able to win. So when you look down the line at the rest of this season and what else is going on over the next couple of games here, you look at the Carolina Panthers after you look at, to take the Eagles schedule here, they got Tampa, then they go to Vegas, and then it starts to lighten up a little bit when you got Detroit, team that can't win. Then you got the Chargers, and then you got the Broncos, and you got the Saints, another winnable game at home, and then it starts to really even out here with the Giants, the Jets, the Washington football team, the Giants, the Washington football team again, and then the Dallas Cowboys. This is a game against the Panthers that could certainly help break up the monotony of losing. And let's hope the Eagles look at that and go, this is our chance. We don't have much of a chance against these other guys. This team probably got a chance. So go out there and do it. That's what I got in football. Jeff Mosher obviously break it down for us a little bit further coming up. 76ers played a preseason game last night. That's fun. This is also fun. Check this out from a Sixers fan who was in attendance last night. Rochelle, I believe is how we say the name here. Look at this. She's cracking up about Ben Simmons not being. Yes, let's take a closer look. Ben Simmons not being on the Fanavision down at the Wells Fargo Center last night. Instead, they have Danny Green. They have Seth Curry. They have Matisse Thybulle. They have Tobias Harris. And they got Joel Embiid right there at the center. Ooh, the only one in a red jersey. That's nice. But no Ben Simmons. And of course not. I wouldn't expect to see Ben. I think expect the Sixers to put up Ben Simmons on the Jumbotron. Sixers got the win last night against Toronto Raptors, which is nice. It's preseason, whatever. All I cared about is that Joel Embiid looked healthy. And I will say, I would like to see more Tyrese Maxey starting at point guard than I would like to see Shake Milton starting at point guard. I don't think I'm alone in saying that. I just don't think Shake's it. Like I like Shake. I like Shake Milton. I like him coming off the bench, and that's fine. But I don't like I just think Tyrese Maxey is looking to take a major leap. Not to like some perennial all-star level or whatever it is, but the guy that we saw came in what was it, game 6 in the playoffs? And like saved the day. That's the guy that I think he can mature into on a very, very consistent basis. And I'd love to give him the opportunity to do that. Last night, they talked about how it's going to dictate by matchups, about who's the starting point guard, whatever. Look, as long as Ben isn't here, there's going to be a position battle. I get it. They talked about last night, they're going to go with the matchups. I get that as well. But when push comes to shove, I think the guy that is going to be your best in your starting 5 is Tyrese Maxey. And come game 1 of the regular season, a couple of weeks from today, I'd like to see that be Tyrese Maxey taking over and making sure that he is the point guard of the future if Ben Simmons is not going to be here. And pending that Ben Simmons trade, I'm hoping Tyrese Maxey is the guy on this roster right now that steps forward to take over that point guard position. Last night, seeing Shake Milton out there, didn't really do much for me. But again, that's just lineup-wise. There's going to be a battle and all that stuff, and we'll be paying attention to it throughout the season. I still have Tyrese Maxey as my number 1 guy for that spot. The other thing on top of that was whether or not Joel Embiid felt healthy. Now, this is his first game playing, obviously, without the knee injury that he suffered last year in the playoffs. So it was a torn meniscus, and I just want to let you guys hear from the horse's mouth himself, Joel Embiid, on how he felt last night.
I felt good. First game in a little bit. I felt pretty good. You know, playing against Toronto is always, a challenge for me. Not necessarily a challenge, but, these are the type of games where, I've really focused on passing the ball and, inviting double teams and, kicking it out.
I'd love to see it. That's how he's at his best. But I always know Joel Embiid is feeling extra good when he corrects himself when he says it's always tough to play against Toronto. Oh, well, not tough. It's not tough to play against them. But you know what I mean. That kind of thing. The personal challenges that he issues on himself, I always really enjoy because he's usually up to those challenges. One thing I did like seeing from last night, he was joking around with his teammates before the game about how he was going to have a 10-assist type night, didn't want any points, and he was just going to concentrate on assists. That's what he wants to be this year, a better passer. Love to see it. My only thing, and look, improve on your passing. Great. But my only thing is and I don't put this past Joe, because I think he does have a stroke of vanity in him. I think we all understand that. I don't want him to feel like he's got to make up for the ball moving around. The last thing I want my best player doing is thinking, I don't need the ball in my hands. Let me try to set up my teammates. Sure. When it's time to do that, when you are double teamed, you are triple teamed, you can't get to the basket, and you got somebody open at the top of the key, by all means, kick it out. But I have never looked at Joel Embiid ever and said to myself, that guy needs to pass more. Never. Not once. Like, for instance, opposite end of the spectrum. I know we like to say the Nick Sirianni method here of wise man avoids all the extremes, right? No, let's go to the extreme here. Like, I look at Ben Simmons and go, shoot! I never look at Joel Embiid and go, pass! Like, he does it just enough. I don't need, like, when he said that last night, I was like, okay, yeah, do your thing in the preseason. That's fine, I guess. But I never looked at you and go, yeah, dude, that Joel Embiid guy, he really needs to pass the basketball. Yeah, no thanks. Attack. One last thing before we get to Moshe. So I showed you this earlier, and that's the picture without Ben Simmons on it on the Jumbotron last night at the game. I don't expect Ben Simmons to be on any promo material. Like, the last thing you're going to do when you're in the middle of a holdout is promote that player, but whatever. And a bleep Ben Simmons chant did, according to our friend Kyle Neubeck, did try to start up last night, but according to Kyle, it didn't get much traction. Kyle Neubeck, Philly Voice. And that's on the heels of the report earlier in the week that Kyle put out there. And he said, after receiving a big fine for missing last night's preseason game, that's the first preseason game, sources say Ben Simmons' representation spoke to the Players Association and had it reiterated the money could not be recovered. A potential sign that the weight of the holdout is setting in. This just goes to show you that no matter how rich you are, And this is where, hey, they're just like us. I said before, I made the analogy that when you get your money, right? You think about like the first job you had and how like happy you were to have that money. Right? I remember my first job, like it was like $8 an hour producing radio. But like I was like, oh my God, I'm actually gonna get paid. This is amazing. And then like you started making money, and then you're like, okay, I need to make more money. Like it never is enough. It never is enough. Even for a guy signing $170 million. Yeah, you look at that and we compare it to like our average Joe Lives. And I'm like, I look at it and I go, 170 million. That sounds pretty good right now in my life. But I'm not going to go out and buy a $17 million house. Well, I say that now. Wait till I get that 170 million. It just goes to show you that even if you sign that huge, ginormous deal, and you have endorsements on top of that, $8.25 million. That's a lot of money too. And if that's being held out, I don't know too many people that are going to miss that, or excuse me, that are not going to miss that. Even a guy that signed a $170 million deal. So if you're not going to get that money back, it does raise your eyebrows. Now, this is an atrocious look for Clutch Sports. Because if they were coaching Ben through this entire situation and they were counseling him through this entire situation, and Ben was under the impression he was getting that money, and his own agent, his own management group doesn't know his contract and doesn't know what the CBA says, oh, that's bad luck. That's bad luck. Now, look, part of this could also be Clutch Sports, to argue the other side of it. Part of this could be Clutch Sports just saying, okay, we're just seeing if we can, making sure we can get what we can for our client. And Ben being like, I don't give a damn about the money. I just don't want to be there anymore. Because the things that have leaked out certainly would lend itself to that, for all of us to believe that. And Ben, I don't care. That's fine. All right, I'll still eat the $8.25 million. That's fine. I'll make money in my contract. 25 years old. I got a long career ahead of me. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. But just thought it was interesting. The way everything played out last night, especially with him not being on the board, with the Ben Simmons chants going on around wrestling events, and they're trying to happen last night as well. So that's what you got right now in Sixers land. So we'll see how that goes. Flyers dropped the puck tonight in their final preseason game. I look forward to talking about that next week a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't get lost in the fold as they open up their season, I believe, a week from today, I think. Jeff Mosher's coming up in just a second. Folks, let me tell you right now about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Do what I do. Trust Steven Singer. The man's in the love business, and he wants to help spread the love with how much he loves his customers. Now, I know the word hate gets thrown around. I hate Steven Singer. Well, you know who says that? Let's see. People that have been looking to put off getting engaged because it's so damn hard to buy a ring. It's so expensive. They don't trust a jeweler. Well, Steven throws all those excuses out the window because he makes it easy. He makes it affordable. I hate Steven Singer for that reason. Other jewelers say they hate Steven Singer as well. You know why? Because unlike those jewelers, he doesn't mark things way up just to mark them down in front of you and make you feel like you're getting some kind of deal, making you feel like you have to earn it. He's not, trying to argue with you over a couple of $100 here and there. He says, hey, here's the perfect price for you every single time. No huge, ridiculous markup, just to knock a couple of $100 off, make you feel like you won something. No. So when you go there, you don't have to feel like whether or not your engagement ring is being purchased with your negotiating skills. It's being purchased with what the person you're buying for really loves and what you want to give. Whether it's an engagement ring, they have Ready for Love Diamond engagement ring standing by at the ready, so it's not just a clever name. And they also have a real jewelry expert standing by with beautiful jewelry, standing by with tennis bracelets, necklaces, rings, everything, earrings. Right there at Steven Singer. It's all beautiful. So make sure, ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking for that big purchase, that beautiful gift, make sure you trust Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right on Jewelers Row in Philadelphia. Over 40 years in Philadelphia, making people smile in the love business. Do what I do. Trust Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Folks, I had said this yesterday, but just to reiterate for people that missed it. So I was texting with Hollis Thomas, Disco Tank, as he's become known now. I was texting with him, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm going to come on the show. I was like, great. And then he ended up couldn't come on the one day because he had his own podcast. And then yesterday, when we were texting, he didn't get back to me again. I was like, what the hell, man? So I 8 o'clock at night, which is ridiculous to try to book a guest. I'm reaching out. Buzz Sports Entertainment, they got their own bevy of talent, right? The people that put on this fine show. And Moshe is part of that talent. Inside the Birds is part of that talent. And I hit up our guy, and I was like, hey, man, what do you think? Can we get Moshe? Is Moshe up? Is he about? And he goes, yeah, I think he's up and about. So Moshe is like ready to come on the show at like a moment's notice. And just then I get the text from Tank at the crack of 9 p.m. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can come on the show. And I'm like, all right, we'll talk to Moshe another day. We'll talk to Moshe on Friday. So Moshe stepped up. He's a great guy, and he was kind enough to come on with us for today's show. So without further ado, breaking it all down, as well as all the great Eagles coverage he presents from Inside the Birds podcast, Inside Birds TV, we welcome in on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line our good friend, Jeff Mosher. Right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, ladies and gentlemen, from Inside the Birds podcast, which we'll promote in just a second. But I also want to make sure you guys know about the pregame show they do with Inside the Birds. It's our guest right here, Geoff Mosher, Adam Kaplan, Jason Avant, as well as Greg Cosell from Rivers Casino. He's joining us right now. Welcome in, Geoff Mosher. What's up there, Moshe?
What's up, Farzy? How you doing?
I feel fantastic, but I here's what I will say. It's the time we tape this is the end of a long Thursday, and you know what? You're treating yourself because you work hard. You're coaching the kids today. You got a nice drink you're enjoying today?
Yeah, and it's an interesting choice of glass, but, if you're going to drink a little red in a Phillies glass, it's not really a red October, but, it is for me.
It is for you. I like that, and I tend to not go stemless on the glasses because of my ginormous banana hands. It tends to like that's an actual coffee mug that I can almost completely wrap my hand around. It tends to heat the wine a little too much. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I guess I just don't have as large hands as you, Marc. So, make of that what you will.
I'm not going to kid. My guest yesterday, and who well, Hollis Thomas, he was supposed to be my guest, and he was because he woke up at the crack of 9 p.m.
That's about early for him.
He once we were doing a show, and he was like, well, I don't have small baby hands like you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And we literally, like fifth grade students, put our hands up, and my hand was the same size. Not gonna lie.
Well, it's not too late, man. The Eagles need some linemen.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
maybe you and Tank could get in there and
yeah. No, Tank would so be Fletcher Cox in this situation because he would look over at me and be like, "That guy sucks. I'm not playing. Forget that." But I do want to mention this real quick, just so people see it. Your latest episode of Inside the Birds podcast is out. You guys go through the tape, obviously, of Jalen Hurts. And you talk about how the defense is still looking for answers, and they're having trouble finding them, just to name a few. You mentioned Fletcher Cox. What do you attribute this to? His decline in production, decline in stats. What do you look to explain Fletcher Cox not showing up on the stat sheet?
I think it's a combination of things. I think that he has himself admitted, and you can see it watching the tape, but he's not playing the normal position that he used to play all the time, which is called the 3 technique. It's kind of a pass rushing position, which was Jim Schwartz's specialty. Mm-hmm. He's also been playing what they call a 4-eye, which is an alignment where you're asked to kind of occupy offensive linemen. You read and react and stopping the run. And this is not something that him or many of the Jim Schwartz linemen have been doing for the last 5 years. And I think that transition is underrated. It's not easy. It's difficult. It's almost contrary to everything you've been doing for quite a while. But I don't want to necessarily completely absolve Fletch of his responsibilities. It's not like they just started practicing it in training camp. I mean, you go back to May, he knew what he was getting into, and it's everybody's job to understand the scheme, understand the technique, and to fit into it. So, you do wonder at his age, and we see this, veterans kind of do what they do, right? It's not like rookies who want to impress the coach and run through the brick wall for the coaches anymore. So I attribute it to new scheme, veteran. And I will also say that he does occupy, he gets double teamed a lot, not just as a pass rusher, but in the run game. And whereas most defensive linemen who are constantly getting double teamed, they get a little bit of a break, right? Not too many teams run the ball, then run the ball, then run the ball again. But the last 2 Eagles opponents, Dallas and Kansas City, have combined for, I think, 73 runs, which means they're seeing a whole lot of runs because the teams are running the ball really well. So when you start beating up a guy with double teams, not once, not twice, 3 times in a row, 4 times out of 7, 8 times out of 12 plays, right? it tends to wear you down a little bit. And I'm sure there's the physical wear down, the emotional wear down of not really playing the position he's meant to play. And all of that is factoring in. But he is the highest paid player on the defense, and he is Fletcher Cox. So I don't want to sit here and absolve him and say, well, this is what you should expect. I mean, he should play better.
All right. Let me ask you this then, and this just came to me. If you're Jonathan Gannon, why the hell would you do that with Fletcher Cox? Why, if you really coach people to to their best ability, like to put them in the best possible position, why would you do this with Fletcher?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've asked a lot of questions of Jonathan Gannon this week about the personnel fitting the scheme or the philosophy, since he doesn't really have a scheme, right? Even though he clearly has a scheme. And look, so there's the conventional 2-deep zones or cover 2 teams, like remember Tampa and the old Baltimore Ravens or Chicago, right? And most of them would have like a 320, 330 pound space eater so that the other defensive tackle could rush the passer or get singled up. Right. So, but the Eagles don't have that, but they are not playing the purest of pure cover 2 to say that they need that. It would certainly help them if they had a run stuffer like that who can occupy the blocks and they can ease up on Fletch, but they have pass rushing interior linemen. So Jonathan Gannon really can't do anything but play his best players, right? So he doesn't have a 330 pound guy to pull out the bench and say, well, this is my adjustment. I'm going to play that guy. I think a very fair question would be, just like I said about Fletcher Cox, this didn't just happen right a week before the season. Jonathan Gannon, Nick Sirianni were here in the offseason. They have personnel meetings, they have draft meetings, they have free agency meetings, right? Jonathan had to express what kind of defense he wanted to play. So did he not say what he needed? Did Howie Roseman say, I'm not going to get you? There's a whole lot of stuff there that I don't know, but it does make you think of the time in the draft war room where they took Milton Williams in the 3rd round over Aleem McNeil, who's a 320-pound tackle who's now with the Lions, and you saw Tom Donahoe's reaction, right? He wasn't very happy about that. Donahoe's a guy who came originally from Pittsburgh, who invented back in the 70s the cover 2 defense, and he kind of knew, I'm guessing, I'm just, reading minds here, that if you don't have that kind of guy, it's going to be tough to stop the run. And I think that's a good assumption. I don't think you've had to play in the league or coach in the league to know that. By the way, just an aside, you've seen the movie Office Space, right? Oh God, yes, it's one of my favorites. Wait, what did I do? What are you about to say?
No, you nothing. You're phenomenal.
Don't go Lumberg on me, all right?
I am going to go Lumberg on you. Not for you though.
Okay.
Jonathan Gannon. I was playing some of his cuts on the show the other day, and he's a Lumberg, man. He's a total Lumberg. And I don't mean that he's the worst boss ever. I just mean like in his delivery. Yeah, Moshe, I'm not going to get into that. He's like in that kind of, like, that's his cadence. That's his delivery. It just, it came to me the other day.
So you could make the argument, maybe he's a Smikowski, because at some point you're going to be asking him, what is it that you do here?
I have a meeting with the Bobs today.
I'm a people person.
It's an American classic is what it is.
Great.
To focus now on the offensive side of the ball, Jalen Hurts, he's going through the starters' reins. Obviously, he's taking them over and doing well, I think, so far this year. How would you evaluate Jalen Hurts in terms of not just this year, but what it means for the future? Is he earning his spot as he goes along?
Yeah, this is something that we wrestle with, knowing that when the team drafted him, they drafted him to be a backup quarterback. They didn't lie about that, and obviously things change. And I think that they're hoping that he shows them that he can be more than just a backup. He can be the starter. And, we're through 4 games. He's had 2 really good ones, 2 not so good. So it's kind of uneven right now. At the end of the day, it's hard. It's really hard with this organization, knowing the draft stock that they have and knowing just how they think. It's hard not to wonder if in the minds they just see Jalen Hurts as the 1-year placeholder, and that even if he does, moderately well, that just increases his trade value. But we do have, a year here to judge. And he did show in the last game some really good signs. One thing, though, and I'm not saying it's a concern, one thing that you monitor and you watch, the way they came out against the Chiefs, the first, I'd say, how the first 15 plays are always scripted. I would say the first quarter was a very fast-paced, college-like offense, a lot of motion, which all of a sudden Nick Sirianni likes motion. How about that? Motion, some misdirection. You saw a handoff to Rager. You saw some quick screens. It was all designed to get the ball to the first progression immediately, and it worked, and it did great. And as the game went on, though, less and less of that, and it became more of a traditional drop-back offense. Yes, there were RPOs, but it was a little bit more traditional, and I thought Jalen did a good job with that. So it made me wonder, are they taking like the old Andy Reid approach with Donovan, where they feel like in the first quarter you kind of got to give him a certain number of throws to get him warmed up and ready so that he's good to go for the rest of the game? Or was this an offensive concept that they just really like and want to incorporate more, but fell behind and couldn't? I don't know. We'll see the answer to that. I will say the most I was impressed about with Jalen Hurts in that game was that he threw the ball 48 times. And although there were some balls put in harm's way, he did not have an interception. He didn't have a turnover. He fumbled the ball right before half, but they recovered it. So that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I would say of his misses, they were wild misses. Like it wasn't putting the pigskin in peril, as I like to say. Yeah. When it comes to this offense overall, a lot of people are focusing on Miles Sanders, and I'm included in that. I think the guy's a home run hitter, a playmaker on this offense. Why isn't he seeing the ball more? I know he got more touches in this game against Kansas City. Do you think he'll see more touches and more carries coming up against the Panthers?
Yeah, the funny thing about everything happening so early in the season is that you don't know yet if it's a trend that's going to continue or if it's kind of an aberration, right? I tend to think that, 11 carries or 12 carries that he's had in the last two games cannot be sustainable. The way they've passed the ball cannot be sustainable and probably has something to do with keeping up with Dallas and then keeping up with Kansas City. But, however, we've seen this across the NFL. When new coaches come in, they tend to favor their hand-picked guys or the guys that were drafted under their watch. And certainly Kenny Gainwell was a guy that we know this coaching staff kind of banged the table for. And he has gotten, for a rookie in the 5th round to get as much action as he's getting, and he's deserved it. He's handled it well. But it might send a message that maybe they just don't see Miles Sanders as the future and they see Kenneth Gainwell as. But we don't know. 4 games in, it's really hard to tell. Because remember 2 things. 1, Miles got the ball a lot against Atlanta and did well. And 2, in that first preseason game, everybody but Miles Sanders played. And everyone, the kind of collective thought was, well, they really want to preserve this guy for the long haul because he's going to be their bell cow. And he just hasn't been over the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm by the way, I'm trying to really look, you don't win a Super Bowl for a press conference, and we all know what happened in Nick Sirianni's first press conference. But even now, and I know they're only 1-3, but looking at this guy, I just can't help but think he's not that guy. What has Nick Sirianni done most that you could tell me that would give me optimism for the rest of this year, or something I can go back to, and maybe in the future when it comes to Nick Sirianni as the head coach and play caller of this football team?
Oh, man, I hear he's awesome at rock, paper, scissors. Everybody, even Marc Schlereth, we had him on ITV TV, and he said he went 0-3 against the guy. You have to be some kind of quick wit to get anybody who's played rock, paper, scissors for at least more than 4 or 5 realize it becomes a head game after that. You're literally you're counting cards, right? He's done scissors 3 times. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. To be honest with you, it's there's been so much unevenness that it's hard to get kind of, and plus the schedule, let's be honest, the schedule has been pretty tough.
Sure. I
was one of those people, I don't know where you are, who were thinking going into the year, the realistic expectation of this roster, knowing that its flaws, was going to be, 7 to 8 wins. So I know a lot of people felt a lot better, and because they move the bar higher, they're looking at this 1-3 start like, oh, this coaching staff stinks, or I can't believe it, or it's not good. And sometimes I have to say, no, that was on you for thinking that things that they did this offseason made them into a 9 or a 10 or more win team. You look at the roster. It's not as good as you might have convinced yourself it is. So the jury is out. I do think for Nick to come back from that Dallas game and get that offense back in gear, even though they lost to Kansas City, and is a good sign. And you kind of hope that even in losing efforts, that his offense produces enough to make you think that he knows what he's doing out there. And I think you can say that against Kansas City. They had 467 yards and 30 points. Yes, some of that came in fourth quarter garbage time, but it was a functional offense.
Sure. No, that's a good conclusion to draw. And I think I'll put that on my jump to conclusions, Matt. Anyway, you like what I did there?
I like what you did there.
As long as we crack each other up. No, I last thing for you here, and I do like that. When it comes to this Panthers game, Panthers are a hot team. They're coming off a tough loss, but their offense is putting up a lot of points. With or without Christian McCaffrey, they seem to have a lot of weapons. Sam Darnold is out there just making throws this year for that team. I like to say that they are able to take this one and chalk up a W, but it looks like it's going to be another tough one for the Eagles. What are you seeing?
Isn't it funny how Christian McCaffrey went from like doubtful on Monday or we'll see to like he probably watched 2 or 3 games of Eagles tape and how they defend the run, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I feel awesome. Let's go."
Yeah, right.
One leg limp his way to 200 rushing yards.
I'll only play in a half. I don't only need to play in a half. I won't even need to play the second half. Yeah, sure.
No, you know what? I think it's a winnable game, Mark. I'm a big believer in the law of averages too, and I'm also a big believer in and this is a tried and true thing in the NFL. You're never when looking terrible, you think the team sucks and it's never going to win again, then they win, and then just like Atlanta, you think they're great, then they go and lose. So to me, it's a winnable game. I think it all comes down to what the Panthers do well so far this year is they have excellent pass rush. They get to the quarterback. They hit the quarterback. Brian Burns, Hassan Reddick, Jeremy Chin. They just have a good defense, and they're playing really well, although they got exposed a little bit against Dallas because they've lost J.C. Horn. And they won't have the cornerback from New England that they just Gilmore. Think of his name? Gilmore, thank you, Steph Gilmore. So they're not great at cornerback, and they will blitz a lot, which means you almost like that. If you block it up and Jalen's reading where the one-on-ones are, he should have some good opportunities to put the ball on his receivers and get rack and yak yards. So he did a good job of that against Kansas City, and so you should have some optimism he can do it again against Carolina.
With that being said, my lot of plays?
Yeah, the question is where.
Okay.
Right? I mean, if Lane doesn't play, do you want Mailata at right tackle and Dillard at left tackle, or do you want Mailata to try to play left tackle? You're not playing Dillard at right tackle.
No, that's not happening.
Play Jack Driscoll there, but if you play Jack Driscoll there, then Nate Herbig's back in it's all a big shuffle, and we'll see what's at this point. I think you just want to see Mailata be able to get through a game.
My man, Jeff Mosher, Inside the Birds podcast. Really appreciate it. I'll show it once again if you guys want to catch the latest episode. Do that and make sure you hop on Inside the Birds right there. Make sure you check out their latest podcast surrounding all things breaking down the tape with Jalen Hurts and the not so hot defense that is. Also, make sure you go to Rivers Casino and check them out there as well for Inside the Birds TV, little pregame show with Adam Kaplan as well as Jeff Mosher, Greg Cosell, and the great Jason Avant. Mosh, you never cheers with water, so I'm just going to pretend it's a nice Jack Daniels or something. Salute, my friend.
Homie. To Dave Dombrowski.
To Dave Dombrowski. To Dave Dombrowski.
I'm sorry.
Let's hope that he fixes
my big hands were there. Yeah, ring the bell.
Jeff Mosher, Inside the Birds. Thanks, Mosh.
See you, Mark. No problem.
Connie's small hands. My thanks to Jeff Mosher. Absolutely love that guy. Yeah, and this is a souvenir cup that they give away at like Flyers games and stuff at the Wells Fargo Center. That's a souvenir. Just kidding. That's just an espresso cup. Anyway, I got let's see, what are the banana hands? I got huge banana hands, as they say. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Always great catching up with him. Always great insight. Here's the thing. When you talk to a beat writer or you talk to somebody who covers the team every single day, goes to the press conferences, interviews the coaches, players, all that stuff, and they present a beautiful piece of information about why this scheme doesn't work, for instance, right? And what the scheme is, and the scheme doesn't lend itself to Fletcher Cox's, strengths, whatever. And then you hit him with a question like, well, then why would you use that scheme if you're not putting your players in the best possible position? And Jeff's question, that's a great question. Like the job of a reporter isn't to go to I know some fans think this is small minority that think this, that you go to a press conference to like argue and like berate a coach, and that's not why you go there. You go there for information. So when the information is then presented to you and you're like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, you can't go, well, that's dumb. Yeah, Jonathan in the back here, everything you just said was stupid. All right, thanks. All right. Like, you can't, that's not how it works, unfortunately. But there are times where you could ask a question to a beat writer or writer or whatever, someone who's around the team all the time, and you say, so why would you do that? And they're like, it beats me. Like, you don't know why you would do that. It just doesn't make sense. And, like, if it's a problem of motivation and Fletcher Cox doesn't have confidence in the scheme and confidence in his defensive coordinator and confidence in everybody else around him, and he's just going to go, well, this is all you're going to get from me. Well, then shame on you, Fletcher Cox. Shame on you. But the other part of it here, and this is where you can talk about coordinators in football, coaches in football, managers in baseball, any sport where you got to manage a professional athlete, that's where you got to look at some other people and go, all right, well, how are you going to motivate him then? If that player's not going to get motivated, how are you going to kick him in the old rump? And I always go back to this, and I shouldn't. I should totally find a new slant. But this is what always jumps to mind. Not everyone's favorite because he was a Giants head coach, Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells was the head coach that I think a lot of people need to be like. Because not only would he go to players for their strengths and all that, he would go to players with knowing how to coach them up, knowing how to reach them. And the example that always gets brought up is Phil Simms back in the 80s was the type of guy that Bill Parcells knew he had to get in the face of and yell at and say, gosh dang it. You wouldn't say that. But gosh dang it, Phil, let's go. We got to get up here and you got to do that. You can't throw that interception. What are you doing? And then another guy like Jeff Hostetler, who they actually won the Super Bowl with, or the second time around against the Bills, Norwood wide right. That was an example of, hey, Jeff, we're going to get the next one, buddy. You got this next one, because that's the type of motivation they needed. Some needed positive reinforcement. The others needed a kick in the ass. Maybe Fletcher's the type of guy that right now needs a little bit of a kick in the ass. It's up to Jonathan Gannon to figure that out. If you're not going to scheme him to be the best possible player he can be and have this defense be the best possible defense it can be, well, then kick him in the rump somehow. Whether that's the Fletch, we know you got this, or it's the what the hell are you doing out there, 91, something like that. Anyway, that's why they should just bring G Cobb in and Disco Tank to make sure they handle the business that way, and that'll be good. I will say this: I really enjoyed the comments during that interview with Mosher. Really enjoyed the comments. We're going to get to them in just a second, but right now I do want to thank the good people of Rothman Orthopaedics. Going to be talking to Rothman next week, as a matter of fact. Looking forward to finding out some stuff about even more stuff that they got going on there. Also, a little bit more about the injury bug, and we're going to get into in our morning rush as well. A little thing about Jordan Mailata. So we'll get into that. We touched on it with Mosher there. We'll get into a little bit more coming up in a second. But when you speak of Rothman Orthopaedics, you speak of people that know what they're doing. You talk about the Rothman approach. And you know what we're talking about when we talk about the Rothman approach? We're talking about people that specifically zero in on one area of the body to make sure that you have the confidence to get past the pain, as a Rothman Orthopaedics doctor knows every ounce of the body. When it comes to orthopedics, they're the ones to call. Because remember the old you, the one that didn't have to deal with the finicky hip or the fickle knee or the shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do? Well, the Rothman approach to orthopedics knows how to get you back on track, back to running, back to walking, working, playing, you name it. You can get back to doing it with Rothman Orthopaedics, back to living your life the way you want. And same-day appointments are available right now, so you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of the Phillies, Eagles, and 76ers. How about BetQL, ladies and gentlemen? Won a couple of bucks last night on the game, Thursday night game. You know how I did that? BetQL. BetQL. Need to download the BetQL app. It's a great way to get the advantage over your sports book. It's the only app that you can use, that you'll need to make the smart bets. The Best Bets computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets. And they do that per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And it gives you the reasoning behind why you should place that bet. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, player props as well. If you don't want to use the model and prefer to do your own research, BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news, even have a leaderboard to make sure that you can track all your success. Head to the App Store right now or Google Play Store to get to download the BetQL app. Steak and Maine. Steak and Maine. I know some of you guys like to bust my chops every once in a while for how often I go to Baltimore. Well, my mom's family's from there, so I got to make the trip. Every time I go down, make a stop at Steak and Maine. I'm going to be going down. Here's a little thing here for people that had to go through this personally. You know, my grandparents, they've since passed. unfortunately, and that means it's an empty house. So I have to go down there, and I have to help out with everything down there and make sure that I can help on, do all the breaking down and the moving old furniture out and getting the house ready to sell and everything. So I picked a date. A couple of weeks, I'm going to be going down there again with some cousins, and I'm going to be just making sure that we clean out the place. But guess what? The good news in all this, a 2-pound tomahawk steak with a fine Pinot Noir from Cavada Cellars Wines. There's the good news in all that. Do you like fresh sushi? Yeah? You like prime cuts of beef? Steak and Maine is where you got to go in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you like to dine in their more upscale steakhouse, their casual bar and patio, they're just fantastic. Make sure you also sample the Cavada Cellars wines. From his family to yours, open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. How about our good friends over there at WinView? WinView is where you got to go. WinView, I showed you guys this yesterday. It's a good. I don't have the app on me. Anyway, WinView is a great site to go to when it comes to all things. Ladies and gentlemen, betting, and when it comes to all things for your not sportsbook, not anything crazy. It's just a good time, and there it is. Are you tired of getting fleeced by your house? Huh? Tired? Are you tired of spending the research? Trying to research your the players and the teams, and you don't want to end up on the short side of things when it comes to your bets? Well, ladies and gentlemen, do what I do. Use WinView. WinView is the only app where skills elevate you over the competition and into the money. Play against family, friends. Make sure you take care of other fans, rivals during the live sporting events as well. Put your sports knowledge to the test with a contest from WinView. Before the game, after the game, make sure you enjoy WinView. All you need to do is answer some questions when you talk about all the great stuff you could do on WinView. MLB, they got progressive jackpots you could get in on as well. For all the baseball fans out there, the perfect game progressive jackpot starts with $5,000 and builds after every MLB postseason game. You need to win with WinView. Make sure you do that. Take advantage of all that down to the World Series itself for a 5-figure grand prize. Download the WinView app right now and let the games begin. Time for our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's get in on all the action here. April's leading it off today. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Moshe, April says. Good morning to you, April. Kevin's checking in. Good morning, Farzy. Good morning to you, Kevin. Mally, what's happening, Mally? Congratulations, Mally, on the NBA saying, we're not going to test for weed anymore. Cool. At least not this year again. Dan, what's happening? Football Friday. Miles went from 2 to 7 rushes. How many more do you expect Howie to allow? Dan, great question and great way you phrase that question. Howie to allow. Here's what's really bothered me. And it's been rattling around in my brain for a long time. The perfect way to say it, I think, is the way we talked about it with Tank the other day, yesterday. The perfect way to say it is that great franchises look at a Super Bowl and go, okay, great. Now, how do we keep this going? Whereas the Eagles looked at the last 25 years of them doing things and went, yep, this one Super Bowl totally validates everything we've done in the past. We know what we're doing. You don't. Shut your mouth. Enjoy the parade. That shouldn't be the way it is. If the Eagles were a real great franchise, they would have looked at it and went, you know what? We still need to make sure that we at least have, this is the lowest level of linebacker we can have. Michael Kendricks, Nigel Bradham. This is what we need to do when it comes to running the football. There's the other thing. They won a Super Bowl with LeGarrette Blount. They won a Super Bowl with Jay Ajayi. They invested in the run game. How amazing is that? And Corey Clement, who was an undrafted free agent that year. Rookie, of course. That should tell you need a decent running game, and you should use your running backs. And what else happened that year? Oh, yeah, you went into Kansas City against the Chiefs, and you barely ran the ball. I think you ran the ball once in the second half. And everybody knew a man said, we got to run the ball. You started running the ball. You won a Super Bowl. So that lets you know some things can change. How about we get back to that a little bit? That was a tangent. Sorry. April, got to beat Carolina. Can't be starting 1-4. Hard to crawl out of that hole. April, I do feel bad for you because you're down there in the Carolinas. So, and probably everyone at work knows you're an Eagles fan. So I hope they win, just for you, as a matter of fact. Not anybody else. Don't even win for me. Win for you. Wait, I didn't see the Tony Roten situation. Oh, he was one of the guys arrested. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mally. I think, 17 other players, 18 players total for the healthcare scheme that's going on right now. When I saw that, I saw a name was on it, Bynum, and I went, Bynum? And it wasn't Andrew Bynum, it was another Bynum. But my first thought on that, and you're bringing it up, is my first thought was, how many people try to milk the system, and they always get away with it, and then they get away with it until they don't. And I think this is an example of that. Where it's like, yeah, man, no, you do this and you're good. You're fine. They'll never know. Ah! They got you. Let's see. Yes, the AEW wrestling event, Temple's campus the other day, that broke into the bleep Ben Simmons chant. Was too funny. Yes, it did. And I did enjoy it. I did. I enjoyed it. It happened. I'd rather Joel Embiid shoot more threes than pass the ball more. I agree with that, Mally. Gabe, good morning to you. Mally loves the sushi. Dan Sushi, what an epic name. It was a great game of chicken, and he lost. Ben Simmons, yes. April, fine point. Let's see what else we have here. Mike Casey, what's going on? Says hi to Moshe. I can't see anything April says at all. April, you getting blocked? What did you say? April saying, Moshe, love that shirt. It was a nice shirt. He was all filled up. He really was. He asked me, because he's such a damn gentleman. Moshe said to me before we started, he goes, did anyone drink while they're on with you? I go, I drank when I was on with me. And he held up his glass of cab. And I was like, treat yourself, man. You treat yourself. He was coaching fall baseball with the kids. That's a lot of work right there. Phillies do make you drink, April. You ain't kidding. Mike Casey, drinking and potting. Why not? Good Lord. That was a kid's mug, right? No. There you go, folks. That's my banana hand right there. Always had huge hand. I could palm a basketball when I was 11. I just wish I was able to use that in my game at all, and I wasn't. Marc got the big hands. This is when I was showing my hands, of course. Luigi, sketchy hands, Fars. Sketchy hands. That is a true story about Hollis and I. Hollis is just a very competitive person. And when I said my hands were banana hands, he goes, hey, you got baby hands. I'm like, I don't have baby hands. Literally, like we were fifth graders at recess. Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. Let's see here. Where's that? April says, his hands are big from all the exercise they get when he talks. That is a phenomenal line. Mally says that's called Italian exercise. Fellow Paisan, Ken confirm, says April. Mike's checking in saying, good morning, y'all. Good morning, Mike Johnson. I see Inside the Birds in the house. Always a great time. You're damn right, Mike. Those guys do a great job. What else do we have? Mike's checking in on the Eagles as well, saying definitely Howie probably forcing Sirianni to play Rigor more instead of Watkins because he was a precious first-round pick. Probably. Howie, a little, the little finger of the Eagles organization, you're not wrong. And I don't know if there's ever been a show that I went from absolutely loving to not being able to stand in the least bit more than Game of Thrones. And that's a Game of Thrones reference for those that don't have HBO. Howie is a little finger. Little maniacal guy forcing his way around authority. Anyway. Rick says, good interview. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. You're very nice. Farzy, your hands look like they were stung by a bee. Brett says, laugh his ass off. That is funny. Marc could at least draw a face on his band. Oh, hand. Like car, yeah. Gosh dang it. Marc living a little spicy today. Yeah, damn right. That is. I live on the edge, folks. I live on the edge. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Mike, welcome in. Mally, April, Dan, all you fine people. Luigi, welcome in as well. And Inside the Birds here as well. So appreciate that, guys. Brett, you as well. Thanks for everyone that chimed in on the social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Time for our Morning Rush and our official Eagles-Panthers prediction. Morning Rush segment. Brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. I got to go to this, ladies and gentlemen. I got to go to this. Jordan Mailata, as we were talking about with Jeff Mosher, is most likely going to play at right tackle if he plays at all. Now, some might say, well, why would you do this? You started left tackle. Well, here's why. if we have discovered anything from Andre Dillard, you can't mess with him. Look, some people get locked into one thing, and that's all their brain can handle. His one thing apparently is left tackle. And I'm just going to go ahead and assume that if Jordan Mailata can become a starting and pretty damn good left tackle in 3 years in the NFL, then I'm pretty sure he can handle a transition from left to right tackle. And I know the Eagles have already moved him around a little bit on the offensive line to right and left tackle in practice and all that stuff. If he can handle even becoming a professional football player, I think he can handle the switch. Some people's minds are just wired different. Like the old knob-block syndrome, can't throw the ball to first base. Some people are wired completely different where they can throw the ball at any base with their eyes closed. Like it's just weird. It doesn't phase them. It's similar to public speaking. People are terrified of public speaking. They can't I can't do it. Other people, like me, attention horse, like myself, public speaking all damn day. Like for me, it's an easy thing. So other people are terrified of it. It's just how their brains are wired. What if you mess up in front of all those people? How did I mess up in front of all those people? Who gives a damn? Earth's still going to rotate on his axis tomorrow. But yeah, it's just like playing offensive line in football, except you don't have to be, you don't have to like run during the week. It's nice. But yeah, Jordan Mailata is going to be my focus. Hopefully he plays. Andre Dillard will most likely play the left tackle position. He'll stay there. Jordan Mailata will play the right tackle position. So there you go. As far as my official prediction for Eagles Panthers, I've already told you when it comes to this particular game, I'm going to be looking at one thing, and that's the defensive line above all else. Like ranked things I'm going to be watching throughout this game today. Boom. Number one, how this defensive line plays. And then there's going to be a pile of stuff I don't care about nearly as much, followed by the run game. Jalen Hurts' performance is obviously going to be on there, Nick Sirianni's game plan and all that. But defensive line is going to be the number one thing above all else that I'm going to be looking at. If this really is supposed to be the best possible thing about this defense, the reason you don't have to blitz a lot because of how good this defensive line is, then let's see it. The Panthers are going to be making adjustments after allowing 5 sacks last week, as I mentioned earlier. They got no sacks, by the way. They didn't get in the backfield at all. Christian McCaffrey's probably going to play, so your defense is going to be probably going to have a spy on him. But when it comes to this defensive line, I need to see them recap. I want to see them go out there and actually earn that reputation of why you don't need linebackers, which is still bogus no matter what anybody says, but go ahead and try to earn it in this game, and why they're supposed to be the focal point of how this defense is supposed to have any success. That's what I want to see. I do have a bold prediction for this game. Darius Slay gets an interception in this game. I think he picks off Sam Darnold in this game. Slay has got something for you, Sam Darnold. And you know how it's going to happen? The defensive line is going to get that pressure. Jonathan Gannon's going to respond. And Darius Slay is going to get that interception. And all that's going to add up to an Eagles 24-20 victory over the Carolina Panthers. How's that treat you? I'm being optimistic. And not only being optimistic, but I legit think the Eagles are going to win this game. No homer involved or anything like that. When I saw actually that, I think NFL Network, their experts were split on who was going to win this game. There were 10 experts, 5-5, 5 wins, 5 losses. It was all, whatever, their prediction. And I went, oh my God, if that many people if half the people aren't burying the Eagles right now after the last 2 performances, there is reason to be optimistic. But looking at the game and breaking it down from listening to Tank and listening to Gary and listening to Moshe, my conclusion at the end of all this, Eagles win 24-20. They get back on the winning side of things and all will be right with the world. Hey, shameless plug, ladies and gentlemen, coming up tonight, 11:30, I believe it is. My good friend Jason Lee of PHL 17 asked me to come on with him, talk a little sports with him. So that'll be airing tonight on PHL 17. So hey, if you miss me, more of me. There you go. So we talk sports with Jason Lee of PHL 17. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, ladies and gentlemen. Much appreciated. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a phenomenal job as per usual. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name's Marc Farzy. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Jacob says, yeah, Panthers are going to spank them. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Love you right back, Zach. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for explaining what split means to us. Scusi. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Have a great weekend. Talk to you on Monday. Bye.